Now we review Thunderbolts! Oh, it's so fabulous! Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen the latest edition of the Marvel Cinematic something or other, and it is Thunderbolts. Yes. It is definitely a follow-up to Brave New World, as they reference events in Brave New World, although it doesn't really need to be a follow-up to Brave New World. For those of you that are wondering, yeah, I was injured. It's a little itchy, so you may see me rubbing it here, but if I don't film this, it's gonna, not get made for, months. So anyway, so I'm gonna go on. Anyway, so basically, if you're a DC fan, what you have is Marvel's Project Katniss. And if you were a fan of Marvel, or a fan of DC, you know that Project Katniss was Amanda Waller's attempt to make superheroes, right? So in this movie, you've got discount Amanda Waller, and she's gotten into some trouble with the United States government, like they hold anybody accountable nowadays, and she's got to destroy the evidence that she's been doing stuff. The stuff exactly, we don't know, but it doesn't matter because stuff. So she assembles her team of super zeros, and the super zeros get together and they're supposed to kill each other. But instead they get trapped in secret laboratory of doom, and, their attempts to get out make them into the Thunderbolts. Which, they're never officially called the Thunderbolts in this movie. It's probably more of a reference to the comic books, that there may have been a team called the Thunderbolts. And almost every member of the Thunderbolts is some kind of a super soldier from some kind of a super soldier program. It's like you've got the discount Black Widow chick, who's like, it's like, well, this is Black Widow, but not as hot or lethal. And then this is discount Captain America. And then there's Bucky, Captain America's gimp from World War II, who was brought back as a super soldier by the Russians. And Red Guardian, who is Captain America, only hairy and Russian. And Ghost. And there's some Taskmaster in there for a little bit, but not for very long, so we won't worry about that. And, they've got Marvel's version of Match. If you're not aware, Match is a Superman clone, okay? So in the DC universe, there's a character called Match, and he's got Superman penis envy, but he's got all the powers of Superman with none of the morality. But he's genetically a match for Superman. Their version of this is a character called Sentinel. And Sentinel has all the powers of Superman, only additional powers of Superman. Okay? And the additional powers are as weird and not make sensical as Superman's ability to rebuild ancient masonry from one of the movies. What is going on? Why is all this weird stuff happening? I don't understand. So basically, the main villain of this particular story is government bureaucracy. And the second main villain of this story is this dude Bob's, his personal demons. And this all culminates into the creation of the Super Zeros becoming the Bevengers. This is actually there is a newspaper in the movie that says Bevengers. It's at the end. But yeah, that's as much as I can give you without really ruining this. Although it's like, can you ruin a mediocre thing? Look, here's the thing about this movie is that it has a lot of pacing issues. For being, I mean, the one thing that can save any movie is just pacing. It doesn't really matter if what's happening is making sense, if it's moving fast enough so that you enjoy it and you're never bored. And I mean, I was never really bored in this movie, but there are a lot of scenes that were there to eat up screen time. Like we saw at the commercial, which was almost like shot for shot, may even be shot for shot. No, I think there were a few points that were cut out, but almost shot for shot, just a part of the movie. And it's like, yeah, it's Red Guardian in his shitty limousine, and, you know, they're talking, and stuff is happening, and they're talking. And they're, like, in the beginning, the first half of this movie, it's pretty loaded with talking. And the loaded with talking part, well, that's not really good for the movie, is it? Because those parts are, I mean, they're slow, they're kind of quirky, they're more about, like, character development, and that's fine. But one of the problems I had with it is I honestly thought that the sound wasn't very good, the lines weren't very well delivered, and it was hard for me to make out what they were saying. So just from a standpoint of, you know, like, if I had had closed captions, I think I would have enjoyed this movie more because I would have understood what was happening a little bit better. I don't know who most of these characters are, okay? Red Guardian, I recognize him. He's David Harbour. He's kind of a very distinctive character. Excuse me. Like, you've got Discount Captain America. I don't know his deal, okay? He's a damaged man. We get a little bit of his backstory. I don't know if he's even been in other movies. I haven't seen them if he has. Maybe he's from the TV shows. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. But we're not given enough time with him. Ghost is hardly a character. Bucky, well, I mean, we know Bucky pretty well. He's been pretty prominent, but like, his political career is kind of like, well, that was inconvenient. So they kind of canned that. And then, like, Discount Black Widow, she's like, oh, I feel bad, I've done terrible things. And, you know, like, Red Guardian's like, yeah, we're Russian. We do terrible things. It's what we do. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, like, keep doing terrible things. Just, you know, deal with it. And, I mean, that's really poignant when you think about it. There's a lot in this movie. There's a lot of really great parts about this movie. You know, I mean, it's the fact that they're dealing with personal demons. The fact that they're dealing with, you know, the human side of being superhuman is really cool. You know, that these are all things that are wonderful. But, you know, here it is, you have an Avengers lineup. And an Avengers lineup has become sort of a societal phrase. It's become it's a shorthand for something. And, I mean, on the one hand, when you look at it, you don't have any Hawkeyes in this Avengers, but you don't have any Hulks either. And you've sort of got this quasi, we're going to make it work situation that, I mean, it has its merits. It has its merits. And I have to admit that whereas this movie doesn't fit well for the MCU in general, it is kind of a smaller, more intimate. I mean, look, these guys, they're super soldiers, and I get it. They can't tackle the same level of threats as the original Avengers lineup. That's just not something they can do. And you even have to point out the fact that since World War II, we've been able to make superheroes. Okay, we made Captain America. He was not born. He is not an anomaly. He was created. And governments across the world have never had a problem creating superheroes. There was a whole movie where, like, a whole bunch of superheroes were in cryo and they all got killed so that the world wouldn't have to deal with them. So that's kind of a cheap shot there. But in a world where we can make superheroes, you know, SEAL Team 6 would be a bunch of super soldiers, And the Avengers really wouldn't be a thing, at least not this Avengers. So yes, tonally speaking and consistently, this movie does not fit within the larger MCU. I actually have to admit that as movies go, I mean, it doesn't make a whole hoot of sense, but it doesn't have to. I found it entertaining. I did. I actually really enjoyed watching this movie. I would say that the end credit scene was a little contrived because they're setting up the Fantastic Four, and it's like, oh, the Fantastic Four are just gonna pop from another dimension. Dude, you're in the multiverse of Mangina at this point. Just have a different universe where the Fantastic Four are created. And when you have a different universe where the Fantastic Four are created, you could do crossovers. And that universe can have its own Iron Man. That's not a problem. It's sort of like you did with the Superman or the Spider-Man crossovers, you know. You have a bunch of Peter Parkers, and there are a bunch of actors that kind of look the same, but they don't have to be the same. And, you know, it's like, yeah, you can go get people, you can get somebody who looks like Robert Downey Jr. to be their Iron Man. You can get somebody who looks like, what's his name, to be their Thor. And you can do that. There doesn't need to be one Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there could be a world of the Thunderbolts and a series of the Thunderbolts completely unrelated to other Marvel properties. That is a thing that could happen, and it probably would be a better thing because the Thunderbolts are, you know, they're not the noble and incredible and clean superheroes. They're the broken and wanting superheroes. They're the lackluster. They're the has-beens. They're the sad and forgotten. And they're trying to make a life for themselves. But you know what? That resonates with modern society because a lot of us, you know, our heydays, our best days are kind of behind us, and yet we're still trying to make something of ourselves. You know, Red Guardian, he was once an incredible superhero, and he's like, yeah, you know, I was defending people, you never find out what he was defending people from, and it breaks the logic of the Avengers, because Vision says, you know, the fact that we exist breeds challenge. So what was going on, you know, in the 80s when Red Guardian was a superhero? We don't know. We never find that out. And I mean, you know, I would really actually enjoy if somebody went out there and said, let's create a backstory for Red Guardian and have him, you know, what was the Soviet Union fighting? You know, are we going to see Omega Red, which was a major enemy of Wolverine in the comic books and the cartoons? I would like to see that, and Omega Red is a character that could pretty much only be brought to life properly by CGI. But, you know, I have to admit, this movie, it's a lot better than the last one. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a middle to upper middle of the watch list kind of a movie. I'll grant you it's kind of a guilty pleasure film. It's not, you know, it's not smart, but it's fun. I enjoyed it. So yeah, that's where it is. It's a fun movie. Dumb, maybe, but fun. Anyway, I'm Richard.
Ladies, gentlemen, and human-type persons, I am Sergeant Duck, and I am tasking you with commenting on this video. You should also like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your friends and make a better, more disciplined world for you and for me. Dismissed!